This week in Oklahoma City, LoyalTV brings us to the Harn Homestead. This pastoral estate is a treasured destination for school children throughout the metro. But today, we hear about the man who called this picturesque estate home.
Well, the legacy began when William F. Harn got himself a job in the General Land Office here in Oklahoma City. And at that time, of course, Soonerism was rampant. The land run was not nearly as organized as we might think it was. There was a lot of gaps and lack of clarity in the original proclamation. And so you had all kinds of folks who came in here sooner than they were supposed to. And land claims skyrocketed. The land office was just a chaotic mess for a long, long time. And that's what William F. Harn got himself in the middle of. I guess what you have to realize is that the Oklahoma land run, it was big front page news all over the country and really around the world. So I think probably Harn just bought into the excitement and said, you know, I think that's the place I want to be to catch this once in a lifetime opportunity. Harn was barely here when this period ended, but from April of 1889 through May of 1890, there literally was no federal law here. The very first mayor of this city was gunned down in a fight over his homestead. And people like Harn, and as I say, he came in a little bit later, but people like that, they just gathered up in these ad hoc committees to establish law and order, to establish city governance, all of these things, and all that occurred in the backdrop of red hot and sometimes fatal disputes. He cataloged the backlog of cases in the hundreds and then in the thousands, and they just kept piling in. So we're talking about literally thousands of pieces of land in the central part of the state that one way or another were contested. And that's, 160-acre homesteads as well as, town sites. He gathered a lot of enemies. I mean, there were hit guys out for him. Yeah, and it was really serious business. I mean, you're talking about, land that is increasing at just galloping inflation. I mean, and so there were threats against his life, absolutely. And I've heard accounts or read accounts where, his life was actually threatened and he was in danger, but he was not alone. I mean, I even read an account where hundreds of marshals and law enforcement officers actually conspired before the run to set themselves up on the borders of the unassigned lands. They bought some ponies from local Indians so they could get here really quick, and they knew exactly where they were going. It's a bit of a myth that it was just unknown territory. A lot of people knew exactly what was here and where they wanted to go. And that made it all the way to the Attorney General's office in Washington. So it was a confusing, contentious period. And that's why I say William F. Harn wanted to be in the middle of that. Evidently so. Harn, he was here under Harrison's administration. Of course, he's the one who issued the presidential proclamation to open the Oklahoma country to settlement. Well, Cleveland administration came in 1892, and as administrations do, they like to put their own people in office. So he was basically out of a job. About that time, he started speculating in real estate, that was big business. Even some of the, well-known Sooners, they bragged openly about how much money you could make in Oklahoma City real estate. Where we are right now at the Harn Homestead, of course, was his property early on, and after Governor Haskell essentially stole the Capitol from Guthrie, there was a site relocation committee to figure out where to build the Capitol. And the site chosen was on his property. And so he sold off the northern part of his property. That's where the Capitol sits today. So where we are today is what remains of his original homestead. So yeah, when people think about William F. Harn, I think they should think of him as somebody who came in here on a mission to sort out ownership, to bring some kind of logic, law and order to an essentially lawless area.
Today, the Harn Homestead is an Oklahoma treasure that celebrates the territorial history of Oklahoma and serves as a memorial to the spirit of the brave men, women, and children who settled this state. Join us again next week as we continue to tell the best Oklahoma stories you've never heard, here on LoyalTV.